and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but you're here with us in New
I know. Well, they'll turn it on in a second. What's one of the beautiful things about being able to project? Thanks everybody for coming out today. Once again, we're going to follow the standard procedure, but I'm going to go over it anyway. Still photos, no video, please, here in the room. Would really appreciate it if you would turn off your cell phone ringer. Please raise your hand. I will call on you in the order I see you. Take notes in the order I see you. Please wait for the microphone. We will get the microphone to you. When you get the microphone, please identify yourself and your affiliation. Otherwise, I'll have to interrupt you and ask you to identify yourself and your affiliation. Tony, Aaron, and Les will be taking care of the quotes from the press conference, and we'll get them out to the media shortly after the conclusion. What we're going to be doing is the first part of the press conference is going to be the student athletes and Coach Beard up here all at once. That will stop at 3:10, at which point the student athletes will go to the breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are located down on the other side of the building, close to the Zamboni entrance, if you're familiar with that. The student athletes will be in these rooms as follows. Room 1 will be Jarrett Culver. Room 2, Norenzo Diassi. Room 3, Tariq Owens. Room 4, Matt Mooney. And Room 5, Davide Moretti. Any questions? Okay. The locker room will also be open when the press conference starts up. As you ask questions, we're going to, please, if there's anything you want to do with the student athletes, please ask them first. And if you have a question that you'd like more than one person to answer, really appreciate it if you would direct it at one individual and instead of just for anybody, because otherwise I'm going to pick who's going to answer, and that may not get you the answer you want. Go ahead. So Texas Tech is in the locker room. They will be here momentarily. They're on this side, so it's a short walk. All righty, we'll start off with just an opening statement from Coach Beard, if there's anything you want to say, and then we'll open up to questions.
Hey guys, Culver's here. To speak for everybody in our program, how much respect we have for Gonzaga. You know, in our third year of building the Tech program, we talked a lot about consistency, and we use the word program a lot. We don't want to just be a organization that has really one good season or one good team. We want to be a program. That word means everything in college basketball, and I think Gonzaga has done this over many years with consistency. The roster changes, but the level of excellence stays the same. So they have the kind of program that we're trying to build at Tech, so we have a lot of respect for them. Simply stated, we think they're one of the best teams in college basketball. We think we'll have to play our best 40 minutes of the year to this point to advance, and so that's our objective.
All right, so we'll open up to questions. Please raise your hand. I'll call on you in the order that I see you. We'll go right there in the fourth row, please.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News, for Norrentz and for Jarrett. Last year you were at this stage against Villanova. What do you remember about that experience? How much has that motivated you, and what have you learned from that, over the last 12 months?
I remember how tough the team they were. When you get to this stage, the Elite Eight, every team's good, every team's great. We just know that this year is going to be different. We've been here before. Preparation-wise, we'll be prepared as always. We know what to expect at this level, relaying it to the new guys. Just bringing that fight, that toughness that fueled us this summer from day one when we started training, knowing that we looked at that Villanova loss and everything that we did. We changed a lot of things scheme-wise. Just try to get better from that loss, and it's gotten us to this point. So we just got to keep on with those principles that's got us here every day, the workness, the toughness, just things like that, to the day-to-day process that's got us here, and it's got to continue.
Tariq, you want to answer that? Oh, I'm sorry, Jared. My bad.
Yeah, like everything Norris was saying, and I mean, just having that feeling in the locker room of getting so close to the Final Four and losing, and I mean, we worked for it all summer not to have that feeling again. So I mean, we're at the point where we're back to the Elite Eight, and I mean, it's great. I just feel like we don't want to have that feeling again of losing.
Jared, can we get you to angle that mic up a little closer to your mouth there? Just making so we can hear you. Okay, next question. We're going to, in the very back, in the glasses, right there.
Kurt Burmester, TSN from up in Canada. Coach and any of the players who want to take this one as well. I don't know how much you've seen of Gonzaga, but Brandon Clark past couple games has had a couple good ones. I know you guys, obviously your defense was really strong and shut down Michigan down low and a lot of other places too. How much have you seen of Brandon Clark, and any idea how you guys will try and stop him with his momentum he's currently got going?
We've seen a lot of him. He's one of the best players in college basketball. I think to say that he's just an athlete is incorrect. He does a lot of things on both ends of the floor. We've told our guys this morning he's a great basketball player. So we face guys like this in the Big 12 during our 18-round fight. We'll have to play really well against him. In terms of game plan, if you guys don't mind, we'll probably keep that to ourselves and hopefully have a chance to talk to you about it after the game.
Any of the players want to address Brandon Clark? All right. We'll go to our next question in the peach, it looks like. Go ahead.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. For Chris and for Matt, most efficient offense versus a most efficient defense. In terms of Gonzaga, can you compare them to any teams you faced this year?
Yeah, they're really good offensively, and we're really good defensively. So we'll see who wins out. I don't know who to compare them to. I know Duke played really fast. I know Gonzaga plays really fast. So I know we're gonna have to get back on defense for sure.
Anybody else have any comparisons? Nope. Okay. Any more questions? Right here in the third row, please.
Jackson Frank, Gonzaga Bulletin. This one's for Jarrett. I know you pretty radically changed your shot mechanics over the last year. I was wondering what went into that decision making, and what was that process like to kind of adjust to a new shot?
Just to be more efficient on my shot, and I mean the coaching staff and a lot of the GAs and people have helped me come a long way with my shot. So I mean, I just got to work with it over the summer. I started way back in the summer just working on technique just to be a better shooter. So, I mean, it's always ways you can improve on your game, and that was one of the ways I improved.
Right here in the white, in the third row.
TQ and LA Daily News. Coach, we mentioned kind of the efficiency that Gonzaga plays with on offense. What makes that offense so dangerous and so difficult to go against?
I think two things. One, the talent. You know, several NBA players on this roster, obviously. They're really good. So for us, this is what it's like every night in the Big 12. You're playing against NBA players. Not a lot of one-dimensional guys either, guys that can do different things. And then two, you know, great coaching. There's a lot of teams around the country that have great players, and they're watching these games on TV. And there's a lot of really good coaches around the country. They're also watching the games on TV. But when you combine the two, like Gonzaga does, a big-time coach and great players, NBA talent, then, you know, you're one of the last teams standing.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about what the process is like after a game last night? Obviously, you're used to playing games or when you're in the conference, but a game last night where you're at this level, what do you and the coaching staff do to get ready for tomorrow's games?
Yeah, we just try to stay true to who we are. We find ourselves in this situation a lot in the Big 12 where we'll play a Saturday game, then we'll play a big Monday. So we call it a one-day prep. We also schedule these type situations on purpose to put our guys in different situations, whether it be back-to-backs or one-day preps or 2 days. So really we just stay true. We get back, we immediately try to hydrate and feed the guys and get some rest. We spend a couple minutes talking about the last game, kind of putting that to sleep, the good things, the things we got to do better. And then we try to introduce the next opponent, personnel-based first, and we start getting into game plan. But you know, it's hard to believe, but we're really kind of doing the same things we've always done. We recognize we're on the biggest stage and we're having a lot of fun here, but we just got to be who we are. That's really important, I think, is to continue to be who we are.
Question in the back in the green.
Coach, obviously, when you get to this point
Can
in
you
the
identify
tournament,
yourself?
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry, Khalil Cage, CBS Sports. When you get to this point in the tournament, obviously the media increases and it comes, you know, with the territory. How do you balance the media obligations that you have to do on your 1 day to prep for a chance at the Final Four and still, you know, stay focused at the task at hand?
Yeah, these guys to my left, they're all veterans. These are experienced people. I don't worry about that one bit. This team, led by Norrance and our other 3 seniors, they've embraced the idea of eliminating distractions from day one, whether it be social media or turning your phone off at night or a girlfriend from time to time. Is Morrow still in love?
Nope.
You know, family and friends, ticket requests, these things. We spend a lot of time talking about eliminating distractions. That ultimately what successful people do, not just basketball. You know, successful people know what's important, and they can eliminate the things that aren't important. So with the players, I really don't have any concern on that. And me personally, I do what Wes Bloomquist, our SID, tells us to do. Wes is a D2 guy, by the way. Some people didn't think he could handle this stage, but I think he's doing a pretty good job his first year. What do you guys think, man?
You gotta love the shout out for the SID. As a former SID, I appreciate that. Any other questions? Right here. We'll go here, and then we'll go in the back.
Jackson Frank, Gonzaga Bulletin. This is for coach or any player besides Jarrett. Jarrett last year played a pretty big role, but wasn't a Big 12 Player of the Year. I'm curious where you all have seen the biggest jump in his game to get to the point where he is now.
You want to take that one, Morrow? Culver's improvement from year one, from young Culver to middle-aged Culver.
Yeah, I think every time he trying to do a shooting competition with me, and he always lost. So he trying to prove me wrong every time, and he's trying to get some more shots up after every practice. So I think he's getting better.
Anybody else want in on that?
It's your chance, man. Street, get on Culver a little bit.
No, I mean, since I've gotten here, I mean, Culver's been great. He puts in a lot of work. I mean, I can't vouch for the losses and the shooting drills. I'm just saying. But, I mean, Culver's he's just great, man. He puts in a lot of work. I mean, he's earned everything that all the accolades he's getting now, he's earned every bit of it.
All right, we'll go here in the green.
Billy Witz with the New York Times. Chris, I wanted to go back to something Norrance had said, that after the Villanova game, maybe was there some sort of taking stock in how you played at all, or changing the way you played maybe in subtle ways?
Yeah, I agree with Norris. We were always trying to learn from victory and defeat. A lot of the things we do in our program are from different people. From the Villanova game, we try to get the Villanova jump stop. We thought Brunson was the best we ever saw in person. We spent a lot of time on that. Culver added that to his game. Morrow, Matt. They do a lot of things. So, absolutely, we talked about that game all summer and all off season, just like we're still talking about the West Virginia game where we got beat in the Big 12 tournament. We always try to learn from every success and defeat.
Did you have a follow-up? Okay. We'll go to Joe, and then we'll go to the back corner there.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Chris, after viewing the film of last night's game, you think that's one of the best defensive games you guys have had this season?
Yeah, I would agree with that. One of. As coaches, we always kind of strive for perfection. I'm never satisfied. These guys to my left understand that. And the best thing about coaching these guys is they share the same way. I've seen us play really, really good games before, and then Lawrence will be getting on guys during timeouts. We just have a standard, We try not to play for the scoreboard or even the result. We try to just play each possession the best we can. So last night, I'll say this, the guys were dialed in. These seniors had the team ready to play. I think it was stemmed from our respect of Michigan. We were fortunate. They missed a lot of shots they normally make. But I think you got to give our guys credit for challenging those shots and making those shots contested. But, yeah, there's no doubt about it. We played well last night, obviously. I tell the guys all the time, it sounds like Captain Obvious, but you got to play well. You got to play well to win games in this tournament. And so here's the next step. Gonzaga, in our opinion, the best team we played this year. No disrespect to anyone else. We'll have to play our best game.
We're going to go all the way in the back corner there in the white.
Question for Matt. This is Reed Forgrave with CBS Sports. You're wearing the T-shirt that says "Never lose the chip." You guys have this mantra, "Secrets in the dirt." I'm curious, behind these cliches, what is the real, deep down identity of this team, and how does that come about over the course of a season when you have so many new players?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys who aren't five-star guys. A coaching staff and Coach Beard who came from a mid-major and started out coaching, random teams and has worked his way up. And a lot of our guys are the same way. So we just try to embrace that. We weren't the highest recruited guys, but that doesn't mean we can't compete with the best in the country. We just try to work at it every day. Don't lose your chip represents that. Secrets in the dirt represents that. Just working for it every day.
Chuck, I think that's you.
Yeah, for Tariq and for Matt, you weren't here last year, but how much were you guys motivated to get back to the Elite Eight? Or actually, both of you guys were in your first NCAA tournaments, but the motivation that the team had to get back to this level, what was that like? And what was it like for you kind of buying into that process?
Tariq, you want to take that first?
Just the fact that knowing coming in, just knowing where the team before us had been, was major for me. I knew I'd never played in the NCAA tournament, and the guys here who had just experienced it. So I knew it was big. It was big coming in, and we were going to have to work for it. But it was something that I was willing to dedicate myself to. And doing it with these guys coming in, I seen how dedicated they were, how hungry they were to get back to the point that they just were and go even further. So, it just meant a lot to them, and it means a lot to me.
Matt?
Yeah, coming in after they went to Elite Eight last year, they told us stories and talked about how cool an experience it was, how fun it was to get to Elite Eight, and it just made us want to experience that as well. And then, we want to leave our legacy too, just being here for 1 year, we want to try to win the whole thing.
We'll go in the very back. This will be the last question for the student athletes before we let them go back to the breakout rooms.
Yeah, I'm Chuck Culpepper from the Washington Post. Tariq, you have a degree in sport management, right? Yes. Would you hire Coach Beard, and why?
Would I hire Coach Beard? Yeah, of course I would hire Coach Beard. Since I've been here, everything that he's told me would happen, it's been true. And, as the person I am, how I was raised, you know, I really like people who tell the truth. You know, I take pride in, you know, being a truthful person. So that's the biggest thing for me. And Coach Beard, you know, he lives by that. But also how hard he works. His work ethic is, you know, unmatched. I've never seen anybody work as hard as him and his staff on this level of basketball. And that's the main thing that attracted me here. You know, he just works so hard. He's a workaholic. And I really appreciate that coming from my head coach, because I know how hard I'm willing to work to be successful, and he's willing to work even harder. So.
All right, with that, we're going to let the student athletes go on back to their breakout rooms, and we'll open up. Give them a moment here. Let everybody sift out. All right, questions for Coach Beard. Okay, I see two in the back. We're going to go with the gentleman standing first, and then we'll go with the gentleman sitting, and we'll go right over here.
Chris, David Collier from the ABC in Lubbock. You talk about 4-minute games, 40-minute games that you guys play. I know you were at this point last year, but how do you manage your team to not let them get too high, knowing that they're that close to the school's first ever Final Four?
You stay with your routine. Try to be who you are. Then ultimately, you got to trust your players. You know, as a coach, you can only do so much. You know, but we're led by these 4 seniors. We have the experience, we have the maturity, but yeah, it's like that fine line. You got to, you know, next game on the schedule, but you also got to live in the reality that you're playing. You know, you're 40 minutes from a Final Four, so. I think ultimately you rely on your players, the leadership of your players, the voice in that locker room. And for me, you know, I sleep well at night these days because these 4 seniors led by Norrance, it's the best leadership I've ever coached.
Before we go to the next question, would you like to introduce our guest?
It's my youngest daughter, Margot.
Welcome to the stage here. You have anything you would like to say?
She's really good at questions, too, if anybody wants to give her a question. She's been around it her whole life.
All right, we have a question in the very back sitting there, please. And then I see you guys up front here.
One follow-up real quick, Coach. I noticed Jim Rome posted you with a big bowl of Lucky Charms. Is that something that you eat pregame meal every morning, or is that a superstitious type deal, or is that just number 1 on the cereal hierarchy?
Well, it starts my relationship with Jim Rome. So, like, I'm just a normal guy, man. I, you know, love college basketball, listen to the jungle and all that. Then, you know, we've had some good players, and it leads to opportunities. And so we're at Little Rock, and we had a special team, a championship team that won 30 games and won a game in this tournament. And, you know, I get a chance to be on the Jim Rome show. I told our SID, Patrick, at Little Rock, I was like, man, I just want to eliminate all distractions. I don't want to do any of this stuff. So he said, got it. And then he came back in. He goes, next day, he's like, hey, I know you say you don't want to do anything, man, but Jim Rome? And I was like, yeah, I'll do Jim Rome. So I got on the show and basically just told him a story that he didn't remember, but it's true. Like, there'd been a Final Four at Phoenix years earlier, and I was like a junior college coach, maybe D2, and we didn't have a hotel room. We just got down there, and we normally crash on guys' couches and this kind of thing. So we were at this hotel and just looking, you know, for maybe like a free buffet or something. And the elevator opens, and it's Jim Rome. And so we're in the elevator with him, and we kind of give him a little smack for what he was talking about the day before in his show, and he's a great dude. And so he's just like, hey, where y'all from? So we told him the story that we had driven all night. We're at the Final Four. We don't have a hotel room or nothing. We were looking for something to eat. And so he gives us his key. He's like, hey, man, I'm on the top floor. Do not go in my room. But there's a concierge level up there. And he talks in third person, you know, a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I love Jim Rome. He goes, hey, go up there on the Romey, man, and, you know, hit the concierge. So we went up there, and I'll never forget it. They had prime rib sliders, and they had little Ozarka waters and granola bars, and we just killed it, man. And so then years later, you know, like 8, 9 years later, I'm on the Rome show, and I told him the story, and he vaguely kind of remembered it. So that's where our relationship is. So, but yeah, the whole idea with Lucky Charms, man, you know, like I've spent my whole life staying at like Courtyard Marriott's and Days Inns, and they got the plastic things that you turn and the cereal comes down, and you and I both know that cereal's stale, man. But in these 5-star hotels here, when you get to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, man, they got like the Tiffany's bowl and the silver spoon. And so I told Jim Rome that the other day, and somehow he got a picture of it. I'm not sure why. But I love Lucky Charms, big-time cereal.
Sitting in the back there, please.
Reed Forgrave with CBS Sports. Two questions. I'm just going to ask like the first one. I'm curious if you could trace your lineage of your defensive philosophy, like where that comes from. Who are the key people that have helped you along the way, and who've sort of been your mentors?
No, I played for great coaches. I played for 2 high school Hall of Fame coaches in the state of Texas, Mike Kuhnstadt and Terry Priest. I was never a great player myself, so I mean I had to guard. If my man scored, I wasn't playing. And then, growing up in Irving, we played outside at Conflans at Northwest Rec, and in the Woodlands, we played at the Y and Falcon Wing Park. And, you get out there and you call the next game, you might be 3 deep. And if you get beat, you're done. If you win, you stay. And you got to play defense. And, you can't score, you can't win on a foul. So that last possession gets down to where you guard and foul if you have to. But just always kind of been in me as a player defensively. Then I've worked for great coaches. Tom Penders with a pressing style defense. Danny Casper, one of the best defensive coaches in the country, currently the head coach at Texas State, and Shannon Hayes and Vic Trilly, and certainly with Coach Knight and Pat, we guarded at a high level. So it's always kind of been me. Then I get hooked up with Mark Adams on our staff, who deserves a lot of credit. And he's one of the best coaches I've ever known, and he is the best defensive coach I've ever been around, no disrespect to the other people that I know. But Coach Adams has a great way of teaching. Nobody works harder at it. He's an aggressive guy himself. He's done a great job for us both at Little Rock and here at Texas Tech.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, the follow-up to that is when you get this job 3 years ago, how do you go about installing that mentality? Because it does feel like this team embraces that to the nth degree.
Well, first it's about recruiting. We try to recruit guys that understand you are going to play defense. We're going to coach you. We're going to hold you accountable. Do a lot of listening and recruiting, not just talking. And players will tell you what they want. And guys that are talking about me, and shots and ball, not so much with us. They don't really succeed. But guys that want to win, guys that want to guard, and guys that understand. Great example of that, Zaire Smith. He goes from being a non-top 100 recruit to the 16th pick in the draft. I mean, he didn't get drafted because he can't guard. I thought he was the best defensive perimeter player in last year's draft. And so, I mean, defense is just who we are. It's our DNA. I don't think we're any different than most championship contenders. Gonzaga plays defense, man. I'm telling you, it might not be their identity, but they are hard to score against. So many late shot clock possessions. You got to go get a basket if you're going to beat Gonzaga. So, I think we guard, but I think a lot of other people do too.
Okay, we're going to go to the gentleman in the black shirt, please, right there in the middle.
Coach Eddie Pels from AP. I had 2 that are a little unrelated, but the first one was there was a little exchange last night when some players were talking about not wanting to deal with Coach Adams if they don't play defense the right way, and you referenced Michigan State, and I was wondering just what your philosophy is on coaching hard, which in some corners, especially last week, seemed to get criticized.
Yeah, I think all great players want to be coached. I've never coached a good player at any level that didn't want to be held accountable, that didn't want discipline, that didn't want to be told the truth, and that didn't want to play for a coach that brings it every single day. And I think in today's world, somebody might get a clip of one isolated thing, but they don't know about the relationship that coach has with that player, the trust, the bond, the love, and the expectations. Where I'm at my lowest as a coach is it doesn't happen often, but when a player will be like, "Hey, coach, you okay today? You bringing it?" That's when I just absolutely am at my lowest. I want my guys to know that we bring it every single day. And like this morning, I was a little tired. We worked hard last night, but this morning, I had to pop myself around, make sure those guys understood that we're here. Let's go, guys. We're doing this. So I think, I'm pretty sure all around the country, guys are getting coached at a high level. I think just sometimes things get caught in one isolated incident is my personal opinion on it.
Your follow-up?
And then the other one was, do you think that it's mandatory that you have NBA caliber talent on your roster to keep getting this far every year?
Yes. Yeah. In the Big 12, especially, it's a talent league. You got to get guys who can play. And I think there's different ways to get that talent. I think obviously, some people can just recruit it. Other people have to develop it, and we all have to evaluate it. So, but yeah, we don't stray away from that. Our goal is to have a team at Texas Tech one day. Whoever got on the team's an NBA player. I think if we can do that, we'll be back up here eating Lucky Charms and hanging out with you on a regular basis. But yeah, no doubt about it. College basketball, to play on this stage, you got to have pros. And to me, pros, you got to evaluate, recruit, and develop.
Right here in the second row.
Jim Suhan, Minneapolis Star Tribune. You knew Texas Tech well. You had chances to coach elsewhere, but Texas Tech had never made it to this level, and now you've done it two years in a row. Why did you think that this program could get to this level, and if so, what led you to believe that?
Yes, I did. It's a great university. It's a great college town. It's got great basketball tradition. Maybe not so much on the national scene lately, but you know, there was days when Coach Myers coached and played that you couldn't get a seat at the old Coliseum. Great players, great coaches have come before us. Certainly in my lifetime, James Dickey had a special team with Tony Batiste, Corey Carr, Darvin Ham, Lance Hughes, Sasser. These guys were good, man. Remember, they broke the backboard against North Carolina. Coach Dickey was big-time coach. And with Coach Knight, I'm really proud of our run. 3 NCAA tournaments, NITs, championships. Had a great game with Gonzaga one time in Arizona in a sweet round of 32 game. And then, you know, Coach Smith, Tubby Smith, I can't speak enough of him, the foundation that we inherited, the discipline, the defense, the talent, the character in the program. But absolutely, I believed that Texas Tech could be a part of the fight every year. And that's what we're trying to do. Just want to be a part of the fight. I think if you're in the fight long enough, eventually you're going to win it.
We're going to the check shirt right there.
Jackson Frank, Gonzaga Bulletin. Your players gave a little insight into Jarrett's growth this year, but I'm wondering where you've seen him make the most strides in his game from last year to being the Big 12 Player of the Year now.
Yeah, I think threefold with Culver. One, physically. He's continued to gain weight and change his body. He basically has a pro body now, or on his way towards that. Spent a lot of time in the weight room and conditioning. Number 2, just his skill development. He's a great passer now. He can beat you with the pass or the shot or the rebound. So he's added some things to his game. It's what great players do, right? In my lifetime, you know, Jordan comes in the league, slasher, leaves the league, best three-point shooter in the league. Kobe, back to the basket game. LeBron does it all. Like, you know, Steph, great passer, not just shooter. Like, guys get better. Culver's done that. He thinks he has this ceiling, and I agree with him. Then thirdly, just he studies the game. He knows a lot about his opponent. He knows a lot about himself. He knows a lot about what's going on in the NBA. He knows a lot about what's going on. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he'd seen Gonzaga play 10 or 15 times this year on his laptop. He just loves the game, loves it.
Any more questions for Coach Beard?
Guys gonna let Margot off this easy?
Margot, what do you think about
Margot, how do you feel
your
about
dad?
tomorrow's game with Gonzaga? How do we feel about Gonzaga?
Obviously, we respect them a lot. They're one of the best teams in college basketball, and it's going to be one of the best games in college basketball history. There you go. Yeah.
That was impressive right there.
Maybe one of the best games in this year's tournament history, Adam, but I like it.
That's what you say.
Yeah, I like it where you are.
Any closing statement you'd like to make?
Margot, closing
Either one of you?
No, it's been great. Like, from a coach's standpoint, man, you just want to live another day. But I'm just so excited. We're about to practice again. This time of year, you just get scared that you might not be able to coach those seniors again. So I'm going to enjoy the next hour more than I'll enjoy the game tomorrow. It's just coaching these guys again.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Good job, Margot.